I can help with that. I can show you how slope works.
Okay, thanks. Come on.
The slope is the rise over the run. The comparison of this, the run, and this, the rise, will define what the measurement of this is, or the slope. Yes.
So then if you want to figure out the slope of this line, you have to, and using the rise and run, you see the run, which is goes over 2, and it goes up 2. So it'd be 2 over 2, which is 1.
Action.
There's also a formula you can use to find slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now this can come in handy when you have a graph, when you have a table of coordinates with the x and the y's. So this table graph looks like this. So in your x coordinates you have 1 and 5 and so on and so forth. So to find this one, all you need to do is input the coordinates. So you take 2 pairs of coordinates, because here's 2 pairs. y2 is this one, that's y2, that's y1, that's x1, and that's x2. So you could do 10 minus 5 over 2 minus 1 would equal the slope for this, which is 5 over 1, which is 5. So the slope for this graph and table is 5. We're gonna find the slope of this graph, well, the slope of the line, using the rise over run. So the slope is the change in the y over the change in the x, which can be described as rise over run, because since you have your y-axis, it's rise, and then the x-axis is like the run, because it goes across. So all you have to do is literally count up and across to the point. So you have 1, 2, 3, because that's where it's located. So the change in the y, which is the rise, would be 3. Now we can count the run, which starts right here, goes to right there. So you do 1, 2. You count these right there. So the slope would be 3 over 2.
Lines, the slope would be 0 because even though it does run, it has no rise.
You can also determine the slope using this formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And the way this works is when you have 2 pairs of coordinates that you can just basically you take these numbers and insert them into this formula the right way, and you can find the slope. Now this is the x, this is the y and x and y. So if this one is the first set of coordinates and this one is the second set, first, second, this one would be x1, y1, x2, y2. So then to insert in the formula, y2, okay, negative 10 minus negative 5 over y2, 7 minus 2. Then for this, you do, we would turn negative 5 over 5, which you can simplify to negative 1. So your slope would be negative 1. So this is an equation that goes along with slope, and in this equation, the m represents the slope, and the b is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is basically, if you have a line on a graph, it's the point at which your line passes over the y-axis. Okay, now we're gonna fill out one of this equation for a certain line. So here's our coordinates. Now what you want to do is you want to use this formula again, the y2 over y1 over x2 minus x1, to figure out the slope of these coordinates. So what you do is you take 2 minus 1, because that's y and y, over 5 minus 2, which is 1 over 3. So that's the slope. So then you'd put the slope to be y equals 1/3 x plus b. And to figure out the y-intercept, you just plug in a set of coordinates. Now I want to use this one, and you insert it. So then you do, since in this equation the 1 is the y and the 2 is the x, we put this y right here, so that'd be 1 is equal to 1/3, and since this is the x, and right here is an x, times 2 plus b. Now you just have to figure this out. So 1 is equal to 2.
To figure out this equation, we put these coordinates over here. So 2 as an x, which is here, and y, and 1 as y, so here. So now we're gonna do the equation. So 1/3 times 2 is 2/3, which is 1. But to get 1, we have to add something, and that something is 1/3. So our final equation would be y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3.
Hello.